A stuntman named Jake Morrison broke his back on a John Wayne film set in 1965. The doctors said he would never walk again. The studio sent flowers. The insurance company sent a check. Everyone moved on. Everyone except John Wayne. Because every Tuesday morning at exactly 9 a.m., Wayne rang the same doorbell in Burbank, California. Not once, not for a month, not for a year, for 8 years, 416 visits, no press, no witnesses, no announcements. And what happened during those visits was never meant to be known, until Jake's wife found something years later that changed how people understood John Wayne forever. This isn't a story about fame. This is the story. What Wayne did during those visits, and what Jake's wife discovered years later in a private journal, reveals something Hollywood can't manufacture. Loyalty isn't measured in words, it's measured in showing up. This is the story. How they knew each other. Jake Morrison wasn't John Wayne's friend, he was his double. They met in 1958 on the set of Rio Bravo. Jake was 32 years old, fresh out of the rodeo circuit, with a body built for impact and a face made to disappear into wide shots. He could fall off a horse at full gallop, hit dirt, and roll like it was choreography. Wayne was 51, still powerful on screen, but long past the point where studios would insure him for dangerous stunts. That's where Jake came in. What set him apart wasn't fearlessness. Hollywood was full of fearless men. What Wayne noticed was precision. Jake didn't just copy Wayne's movements, he understood them. The way Wayne shifted his weight before a punch, the half-second pause before mounting a horse, even the subtle adjustment of a hat brim. Directors couldn't tell the difference unless the camera was close. That earned Jake respect. Over the next 7 years, Jake doubled Wayne in 14 films. They developed an unspoken rhythm. Wayne would describe the shot he wanted. Jake would deliver it. No bravado, no complaining, no ego. Just work done right the first time. They weren't friends in the traditional sense. They didn't drink together, didn't vacation together, didn't call each other on weekends. Their bond lived entirely on set, built on trust and professionalism. Wayne knew that when Jake went down hard, he did it so Wayne wouldn't have to. By 1965, Jake had a wife, Mary, 2 young children, and a modest house in Burbank. He was respected, consistently employed, and careful. Stuntmen didn't grow old by being reckless. Jake knew his limits and stayed within them. It was a quiet, stable life built on controlled risk. Then came March 12, 1965. What went wrong? The stunt was supposed to be routine. A horseback fall, a short drop down a rocky incline, the kind of thing Jake had done dozens of times. The terrain had been walked, the angles rehearsed, the horse trained. Cameras rolled as Jake mounted, hit his mark, and spurred forward. Something went wrong in the final second. The horse stumbled, not enough to stop, just enough to throw timing off. Jake went airborne a fraction early. Instead of landing flat and rolling, his lower back struck first against packed earth and stone. There was a sound the crew would later describe as wrong. Not loud, just final. Jake didn't move. Medics were on him within seconds. He tried to speak but couldn't pull air into his lungs. His legs didn't respond. As they cut away his wardrobe, the swelling along his spine told the story before the X-rays did. The damage was catastrophic. At the hospital, doctors were careful with their words, but not hopeful. Multiple fractured vertebrae, spinal cord trauma, paralysis from the waist down was likely permanent. Surgery might stabilize him, but walking again was improbable. Jake was 39 years old. The studio's response followed protocol. Flowers arrived. A representative stopped by with paperwork. Insurance coverage was explained. A settlement discussed. Everyone was polite, professional, efficient. And then they left. For Hollywood, the accident was tragic, but closed. Another name added to a long list of men who paid for spectacle with their bodies. John Wayne visited the hospital that first night. He stood at the foot of the bed, hat in hand, long enough to see Jake open his eyes. He didn't say much, just told him the shot looked good, that the director said it sold the scene. Then he nodded to Mary, touched Jake's shoulder once, and left. No one thought much of it. Stars did that sometimes. One visit, a gesture, closure. They were wrong. The commitment. 2 weeks later, the phone rang at the Morrison house. Mary answered. "This is John Wayne." She froze. "How's Jake?" he asked. "Not good," she said honestly. "He won't talk much, won't eat, just stares." There was a pause on the line. "I'm coming by Tuesday morning," Wayne said. 9 o'clock. Will that work? Mary assumed it meant once, a courtesy visit, something to help Jake's spirits. Tuesday morning, Wayne arrived at 8:55. He sat with Jake for an hour and a half, didn't ask about pain, didn't offer advice. He talked about horses, about a script he didn't like, about the weather, about nothing that required Jake to respond. When he stood to leave, Wayne said, "I'll be back next Tuesday. Same time." Mary smiled politely. She didn't realize he was making a promise. The hidden truth. What Mary didn't know, what Jake wouldn't learn for years, was that Wayne wasn't visiting out of guilt. He was visiting because of his father. In 1937, Wayne's father suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed. Wayne was in his late 20s, chasing roles, saying yes to every opportunity. He visited twice. Then the studio sent him away for 6 months. By the time Wayne returned, his father was dead. Wayne never forgave himself. Jake Morrison wasn't a stuntman to him anymore. He was a second chance. The long road. The first 2 years were the hardest. Jake was angry, withdrawn. The visits felt intrusive at first, an unwanted reminder of everything he'd lost. Wayne showed up anyway, same day, same time, rain or shine. If filming ran late, Wayne flew overnight. They rarely talked about the accident. By year 3, something shifted. Jake started asking questions about Wayne's childhood, about old westerns, about mistakes. Wayne answered honestly, not like a legend, but like a man who'd lived long enough to regret things. By years 4 and 5, the visits had become routine. Jake's kids grew up thinking Tuesdays were normal. Wayne helped with homework, listened more than he spoke, never missed a birthday, but never made one about himself. Years 6 through 8 were quieter. Jake's health declined slowly. Infections came and went. Pain was constant. Wayne noticed everything. Adjusted his chair before Jake asked. Brought books he thought Jake might like. Sometimes they sat in silence for the full 90 minutes. The last visit came quietly. Wayne's filming schedule changed. Tuesdays became impossible. "I can come Thursdays," he said. Jake shook his head. "You've done enough." Wayne smiled. "I'll see you Thursday." The journal Jake Morrison died in 1989, 24 years after the fall. While cleaning his desk, Mary found a leather-bound journal she'd never seen before. Inside were dated entries, one for every Tuesday, 416 of them. Jake didn't record conversations. He recorded how he felt afterward. March 19th, 1965. Duke came. I didn't want him to. He stayed anyway. June 8th, 1965. Starting to understand why he keeps showing up. Not for me, for him. January 2nd, 1968. Asked him why today. He said, "Because I didn't do it before." Didn't explain. August 12th, 1970. My son asked if Mr. Wayne is my friend. I said no, he's something better. The final entry was dated April 3rd, 1973. Schedule changed. He asked for Thursdays. I told him no. He came anyway. Mary later donated the journal to the Academy Archives. It isn't displayed, but it's there. The lesson that journal doesn't feel like a Hollywood story. There's no twist, no redemption arc, no applause, just wait. Because 416 visits isn't an anecdote. It's a decision made every single week when no one was watching. Jake Morrison couldn't help John Wayne's career, couldn't offer favors, couldn't return the gesture. Wayne showed up anyway, for 8 years. Because loyalty isn't what you say. It's what you do when there's nothing in it for you. So here's the question. Who in your life needs you to show up? Not once, not when it's convenient, but consistently, quietly, when it costs you something. John Wayne answered that question 416 times, and one man wrote every answer down.